Welcome to State of the Offense, your unbiased coverage of your favorite team's offense, the San Francisco 49ers. At this point of the year where there are so many unknowns, I believe that San Francisco fans should expect a very strong offense going into the 2023 season. Last year, the 49ers finished 5th in total offense, 13th in passing, 7th in rushing, and 6th in scoring, which earned them a 13-4 record, NFC West championship, and an appearance in the NFC championship game. In the skill positions, San Francisco brings back everyone except Jimmy Garoppolo. In free agency, they signed veteran quarterback Sam Darnold to replace him. Most fantasy football shows will only mention skill players, but at State of the Offense, we look at the entire offensive unit. We start in the trenches by analyzing the condition of the offensive line. On the offensive line, the 49ers will bring back 4 of their starters from last year. Trent Williams enters his 4th season in the Bay Area at left tackle. He was again stellar, rating as the best offensive lineman in football. He rated at a 98 and played in 14 games with a 79.7% snap share. The 49ers have Williams signed through 2026. Third-year guard Aaron Banks returns at the left guard position. He rated at a 73, which would be the 18th ranked player at the position. In year 2, Banks showed improvement from a 68 grade as a rookie. In 16 games, he played 93.5% of the snaps, and Banks is under contract through 2024. Jake Brendel is entering his 2nd season with the Niners at center. He graded at a 73, which placed him in a group of centers that put him in the 18 to 21 range in the NFL. In 17 games of action, he played 99.1% of the snaps. The 49ers have Brendel under contract through 2026. Right guard Spencer Burford graded at a 69 as a 4th-round rookie. He played in 16 games and had a 65.8% snap share, which placed him as the number 25 right guard. If his 2nd year improvement resembles the improvement that fellow guard Aaron Banks experienced, Burford should eventually develop into a solid starter for the Niners. The 49ers are not set at the right tackle position going into camp. Last year's starter Mike McGlinchey is in Denver now. Colton McKivitz is currently listed atop the depth chart. Last year, McKivitz played in 6 games. He graded at a 67, but only played 7.3% of the snaps. Jalen Moore rated the same as McKivitz with a 67, but he played in 9 games and had a 16.2% snap share. Both players are signed through 2024. The offensive line group outside Trent Williams is young and improving. The group is under contract and should continue to develop their games. The fact that Williams is the best offensive lineman in the NFL and that he should be around for a while is good news for the San Francisco offense. The 6-year tenure of quarterback Jimmy Garoppolo consisted of a lot of winning and a lot of injuries. His steady play on the field allowed the playmakers around him to flourish. The organization's plan to develop Trey Lance behind him hasn't exactly gone to plan. Lance broke his ankle in week 2, as everyone knows, and his season came to an abrupt end. From week 13 through the NFC Championship game, 7th-round draft pick Brock Purdy won games for the 49ers and has built enough of an argument that he, not former number 3 overall pick Trey Lance, is the future of the franchise. Purdy's elbow surgery appears to have gone well, and the organization has optimism that Purdy will be available for the season opener. Trey Lance, in Purdy's absence, has a golden opportunity to show his worth in the preseason. The 49ers put too much of an investment in Lance to give up on him after 5 quarters as a starting quarterback last year. Sam Darnold was brought in to compete with Lance as the backup to Brock Purdy. Considering the injury history the team has had at the position, starting training camp with 3 quarterbacks who have started games in the NFL is needed. I would not be surprised if all 3 played meaningful snaps this season. In fantasy, Purdy is getting drafted as the quarterback 25, Lance the quarterback 30. Purdy in the 14th round, Lance in the 15th. In Purdy's time as the San Francisco number 1 quarterback, he averaged 25.3 points per game. 25.3 points per game would have been the quarterback 8. The elbow injury is the only reason this guy is getting drafted this late. By the way, Jimmy Garoppolo in comparison averaged 21.4 points per game and was the quarterback 23 last year. If Brock Purdy is the San Francisco opening day starter, I would recommend taking him as a quarterback 2, possibly as high as the 11th round. If Trey Lance actually improves to the point where he becomes the franchise quarterback, his rushing upside gives him a lot of potential in fantasy football. I don't think that Lance is worth having in a redraft league, though, and in Dynasty, I still believe that it costs too much to trade for him. San Francisco has an excellent pair of starting wide receivers. Brandon Ayuk emerged as a quality number 1 receiver with over 1,000 yards receiving. Ayuk's numbers have steadily climbed during his career. You have to figure that if the 49ers quarterback situation stays solid for the year, then year 4 of Ayuk should be even better. In fantasy, Ayuk was wide receiver 21 in total points, and he was 30th in points per game. Ayuk is very undervalued in drafts. He is the wide receiver 35, going at position 91, which makes him an 8th round pick. Brandon Ayuk in the 8th round is a very nice value pick. Brandon Cooks is 1 spot ahead of him, and Michael Thomas is 1 spot behind him in drafts. There's no way that I take these guys over Brandon Ayuk, and neither should you. Compared to his breakout 2021 season, Deebo Samuel had a tough year. He missed 4 games in 2022 per game. Samuel was targeted more than Ayuk, so many people still view Samuel as the San Francisco number 1 wide receiver. Samuel is getting drafted as the wide receiver 15, position 39 overall, which would make him a 4th round pick. Last season, Deebo was wide receiver 41 in total points and wide receiver 32 in points per game. Ayuk was actually higher in fantasy points per game by 2 spots. Jacoby Myers of New England was between them. If these average draft positions stay similar until your draft, you have to get Ayuk every chance you get and pass on Deebo in the 4th round. Deebo is 1 spot ahead of Lamar Jackson and 1 spot behind Devontae Smith. Ayuk is getting drafted after Javonte Williams and before Dak Prescott. The value is definitely with Ayuk in fantasy for the 49ers wide receivers. George Kittle is still a force at the tight end position. He did miss the first 2 games last year, but he had a career high in touchdown catches with 11. He averaged 4 touchdowns per season in his first 5 years in the league, so the 11 may be an outlier. Kittle was the tight end 2 in total points and points per game. Most fans are on to his 11 touchdowns as something not to rely upon. Kittle is the 4th tight end drafted, player 51 overall, making him a 5th rounder. I can't argue against drafting Kittle because I know that he is a great player. You have to be careful when playing fantasy. When you underrate great talent, it has a habit of biting you if you don't draft a great player. The only tight end that I'm comfortable drafting ahead of Kittle is Travis Kelce. Mark Andrews and TJ Hawkinson are currently getting drafted ahead of Kittle. I'm not comfortable with Andrews' ADP. I believe that Hawkinson will have a good year in Minnesota, but I could also see Dallas Goedert or Kyle Pitts moving into the same range of players with Kittle. If you can't get Kelce, I have no problem grabbing Kittle in the 5th round. The midseason acquisition of Christian McCaffrey from Carolina paid immediate results in front of the entire nation. McCaffrey is a running back who fantasy players have built around for years. McCaffrey was the running back 2 behind Austin Eckler last year in both total points and average points. McCaffrey is currently the 2nd running back drafted, and his average draft position is a 4.5, which means he's either going 4th or 5th overall in the 1st round. Whether you prefer Eckler or McCaffrey really doesn't matter, but it should be noted that Eckler has been a touchdown machine the last 2 years. So Eckler may come down because touchdowns are the least reliable statistic that you can rely upon from year to year. On the McCaffrey side, McCaffrey has a better set of skill players than Eckler has with the Chargers. The 49ers running back room has more proven backups, so Elijah Mitchell and Deebo Samuel can cut into the 49ers reliance on McCaffrey's production. If you have the number 2 pick overall in the 1st round, you can start considering Christian McCaffrey, but many leagues will still take him at number 1 overall. Elijah Mitchell is the running back 45 drafted. While he has been productive in the past, he has a lengthy injury history. If McCaffrey misses any time at all, I would expect Elijah Mitchell to split work with Jordan Mason and Ty Davis Price. The 49ers have many proven fantasy football assets. Kyle Shanahan has one of the most respected systems in the game. outside of quarterback, the offensive line may not grow, and that can cut into fantasy production. Christian McCaffrey and George Kittle are super reliable over a course of years. Deebo Samuel is the only player who I think is getting overdrafted. Ayuk is coming up, but Deebo is still a very productive player. He's going in the 4th round. I think he's more of a 6th rounder. Ayuk's going in the 8th round. I could see Ayuk being taken in the 6th or 7th round pretty easily as we get closer to the season. The potential of the quarterbacks is not getting valued properly by fantasy players because of the injury situation of Brock Purdy and the 2 slowly disappointing years of Trey Lance's development. The team has been pointing in the Super Bowl direction for years now. The defense is one of the best, and the playmakers on this team take a backseat to no one as a unit. The big question in town is, can Brock Purdy, Trey Lance, or even Sam Darnold do well enough to get the 49ers to a title? If you like today's coverage of the San Francisco 49ers offense, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel.